So I want to make this video to help you audit your life and the people in your life. There's a phrase, I heard this years and years ago, but it's that your income will be the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I found that to be very true. But it's also like your level of thinking, your general disposition, or let's say your attitude toward life. Obviously, it's going to be influenced by the people you spend the most time with. But again, my purpose for this video is I want you to actually audit who that is in your life. So take a piece of paper or a note or whatever and just write out, let's just say the 10 people in your life who you spend the most time with. It'll take you 2 minutes, but I'm going to show you a really cool thing you can do with it. So you're writing out the names, and then I would ask yourself, with each person, 1 to 10, how much are they supporting you to be the best version of yourself? 10 is it's like a perfect person who's like genuinely there for you, supportive of you, and like actually helping you be the best version of yourself. Not just telling you a good job when you did a bad job, or, someone who just, makes you want to feel good, whatever. It's like the people who are actually there for you. I look back at this over my life and I see that sometimes the people who would tend to piss me off the most were actually the ones who were helping me the most, because they were helping me hold myself to a higher standard when I didn't necessarily see that for myself. So grab your list of, let's say you're 10 people, okay? And write out next to them, again, 10, 9, whatever, down to 1. A 1 would be someone who's like actively toxic, but you have to spend time with them. It could be like a coworker or something. This will get kind of dicey if you start writing and you name your partner and everything. But again, this is for you to level up, because I want to help you level up. And if your group of 5 or 10 sucks, well, 1 is, how are you creating that? But also 2 is like, if you really want that to change, I'm part of some pretty awesome groups of people, and maybe, just maybe, you resonate with this and you want to also join those groups and be part of groups where you're talking to people who are actually going to help hold you accountable. Like, here's a word, and I would encourage you to look at how much are you living this word in the average week. Living this word meaning like doing it, abiding by it, everything, right? Here's the word, is congruence. Congruence. So if you're congruent, it means you say, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and then you actually do it. And if you're not congruent, you're someone who says, hey, I'm going to go do this, and then you make an excuse, or you don't do it, or other priorities creep in, whatever. But it's like the people who say, oh, I'm going to be at that event, right? And I know, because I host a lot of events, and I'm always freaking on time for the event. Or if I'm a few minutes late, I'm going to text someone. But it's like, if I say I'm going to go to an event, I go to the freaking event. So, I host a lot of events locally. My wife and I do, some of my colleagues and I do. And I have just accepted the fact that right now there's a lot of people in our world where they can just say, hey, I'm going to be there. And then they don't show up. And they didn't even send a message to say that. And again, I've done this before. I'm not claiming I'm absolutely perfect all the time with it, but that's how I hold myself accountable. And that is what has helped me to be that kind of person who's a 10 in terms of how I show up for myself and for other people, because I want you to be the best version of yourself. Like, I look at the world that we're creating for our kids, and it's like, man, if everyone had way more congruence and was actually pushing themselves to evolve their social circle and either bring everyone up to be a 10 or at least an 8, come on, like let's at least have 8s. That's the world that I want to live in. And that's why I make these videos. So for yourself, right, today, audit. Who are those friends? The top 5 to 10. And then ask yourself, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Because I promise you, you're going to time loop. That's a whole separate concept. But I promise you, you're going to time loop if you don't come up with a plan for it. So this week, maybe you can look at changing your calendar around. Or maybe you can look at what is a cool question you can ask everyone in your group, so you can see if they're in alignment with you or not. Maybe there's a cool podcast you listened to recently that actually helped you expand. And then you send it to those people around you. And if they're the kind of people who are going to be like, bro, why are you sending me podcasts? Do you want that person in your life? Or at least at the frequency that you have them? Or do you want to be friends with the kind of people who are going to say, hey, dude, this is a cool podcast. Wow, let me check it out. I'm going to tell you what I learned. Hey, here's a podcast I think you might like. And you have that culture, and you create that culture around you. That is a life well lived, from my perspective, is when you're surrounded by not just 10, but let's say 100 or 1,000 people like that, where they're all And they're all going to have different ways of doing it, right? I have some friends who are sending me content literally every single day. I have some people that maybe I don't spend as much time with them, but when I do talk to them, it's very impactful, very important. So again, just to wrap this up, what I want you to do is audit the people you spend the most time with. And that's just because it's a general indicator of what's your social life like. But you could also audit, let's say, the 20 people that you think are the most important to you. And whether or not you see them every single day or every week or every month or once a year, but to really start to look at who are these people and to not blame them, but rather flip it back on yourself and go, what am I holding back on? What am I not doing effectively that's causing this situation to not be like a really helpful one? Maybe we're just staying stuck and we're complacent. Okay. And especially if this is like a spouse or family member, to have these cool conversations with them. And the easiest thing to do, come up with a list of a couple questions that you should ask them next time you see them. Like, hey, what are your goals right now? Or hey, what are you struggling with the most? Or hey, what's your vision for the next year? Stuff like that. There's so much cool stuff we can do when we start actually showing up in our lives and be there for the people around us. And when you can actually strive to be that 10, that best version of yourself, the most perfect version of yourself you can imagine, while realizing it's going to be a multi-year process till you can become that best version, that is a freaking amazing world that I'm here to create, and I want to see you create it too. And then I want to hang out, and I want all my friends to become friends with your friends, and then we can work on really cool projects together. But it all starts with us taking that self-awareness and really bringing it back to ourselves. What are we cultivating within ourselves, and then our relationship with those closest to us? All right, so get out there, do that exercise, and if you do the exercise and you have a cool insight from it, leave a comment or send me a message, because I want to hear that. Because man, when you can get your social circle evolved by either helping them level up, or there's going to be people who just drop away and then you add new people, that is a freaking awesome life, because then those people help lift you up to the level of income you want, to the happiness that you want, all that good stuff. But then we can also look at the bigger thing, which is let's actually change the culture on this planet. All right. Bye, everyone.